Okay, yesterday we left off in the middle of it. We were explaining the davenings of Shabbos, the difference between Friday night, Shabbos morning, Shabbos afternoon, the different levels of Shabbos. Now, in many places there was a custom, many shows don't do it today, but there was a custom that Friday night when Maida was over, when they finished Arvis, somebody would make Kiddush. And then the person making Kiddush was not eating there, he was going home to eat. So why did they make Kiddush in a shul? Because years ago, the guests that had nowhere to eat would eat in the shul. They had a side room where they brought food for the guests. People, whatever the community gave food for the guests. So therefore they would hear Kiddush in shul from the person making Kiddush, and then they would go to the room and eat. So, but the problem is, if the person makes Kiddush and he's not fulfilling his obligation because he's going home, he's not going to be Yetzer Kiddush, so then he can't drink the wine. Because before Kiddush, you're not allowed to eat or drink anything. And he's not fulfilling his obligation. So the custom was, in the shuls, there would be a little kid that would be over the age of 6 or 7, and he would listen to the bracha from the guy making the Kiddush, and then they would give the kid to drink a little bit. And then there was basically for the guests. Today it's not done in many, many places, because today the guests don't eat in shul. People go home to eat, or you bring guests home. You don't, so therefore that custom really doesn't apply. Yeah, but they didn't have enough money for everybody to have wine. So they made it in shul for whoever wanted to do it. Also, Shabbos morning, it says in halacha, you're not supposed to get up as early as you get up the rest of the week. Not late, a little bit later, because you have to do Shema and time and so all of that. Now, there's a very interesting shaila. Musaf has a set amount of time. Musaf is supposed to be done right after Shachris, and it shouldn't be later than the 7th hour into the day. Technically in halacha, again, in many sugas, especially according to Chassidus and Kabbalah, it's not done, but according to halacha, let's say you didn't daven Musaf at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, you have to daven Shachris, you didn't daven Musaf yet. So according to halacha, you have to daven Mincha and then daven Musaf. Because now the Mincha time came, so now you have 2 tefillas, Mincha and Musaf. And we know the rule, Tadir v'sheina Tadir, more common, less common, the more common comes first. So once the time of Mincha comes, if somebody didn't daven Musaf, so technically they would have to daven Mincha first, and then they daven Musaf. And if you follow this halacha with Kabbalah, halacha said you have to daven Mincha first, and then you can daven Musaf. Because again, the 2 tefillas, that's why it's called, it's called Pesher if you daven Musaf late. Okay. Another interesting question is, they bring down a shaila. This can happen a lot nowadays also in Chabad houses for some reason. What happens if somebody decides, the shul says, you know what, for us it's better to daven Shachris and Musaf, no Torah reading in the middle. We're going to daven Shachris and Musaf, people are going to go home and eat, and then they'll come back and they'll listen to Torah reading. So the poskim write, it's not a good idea to do that. There's an order. It's supposed to be Shachris, and then Kriyas Torah, and then Musaf. There's an order in halacha, and the Gemara speaks about the order that's involved in that. So therefore, ideally, if they're right, b'shas chak, in the time of a great, great, great need, so then you'd be allowed to do it, but not on a regular basis. In fact, there's another interesting shaila in the Tshuvas. The Tshuvah Rabbi Yehuda Asad was a big Hungarian Rav from years ago. So somebody asked him a shaila. There was a place that before Mincha, there were a lot of people that didn't hear Torah reading in the morning. But there was no minyan or what, they didn't hear Torah reading in the morning. So he was asked, can you take out a Sefer Torah before Mincha and do the Torah reading of Shachris? Can you do Torah? They didn't hear it in the morning. You have 6 people, that you need 6 people that didn't hear Torah reading, Kriyas Torah, and you have a minyan. Are they allowed to make a minyan for Kriyas Torah before Mincha? People come 15 minutes early, whatever, and they'll make a minyan for Kriyas Torah. So there's a lot of poskim that say that you're not supposed to do it. He personally held you could do it. But again, it's because Kriyas Torah really has a place in the middle of davening, ideally. But if you're not davening with a minyan, whatever, then Kriyas Torah could be any time during the day. But some people say it's not a good idea to do it before mincha because it's not tradition, like they say. And tradition is very important in Yiddishkeit. Okay, now before mincha, after Ashri Voltzin, yesterday we learned why we say Voltzin Shabbos afternoon, because we don't say Shabbos morning, and during the week we say by Shachris, not by mincha. But Shabbos is different. So after Ashri Voltzin, the Chazan says half Kaddish because we're going to read the Torah. So we say the pasuk Ani Svilasi L'cha Hashem Eitzrotzin Elokim B'Rav Chasdach Aneni B'Mesishach. We say that pasuk Torah reading Shabbos afternoon. What's the basis of saying that pasuk? So it's based on a medrash because before that the pasuk is the Taz brings it down because. No, I'm sorry, Kitzur brings it down. It says like this, before that there's a pasuk, it's a pasuk in Tehillim, but before that in Tehillim there's a pasuk, Yasichu beyesh sheir niginasi sheisei sheichod, and then it says Vani Svilasi. So the Medrash says, David HaMelech said to Hashem, look the way the Jews are not like the Goyim. The Goyim, they drink and they get drunk and they eat and get drunk. They don't believe it, they don't do the proper things. But we, even though we drank and ate Shabbos meal, still, we still come to daven. So David HaMelech said, that's the pasuk according to the Medrash is referring to Shabbos. The Shabbos, the Jews, instead of, they eat and drink, but they don't get drunk, they don't sleep through mincha, they come to mincha, they daven, not like the Goyim that when they party, they're drunk for the day. So that's why the reason why we say Vani Svilasi. So there's a question, do you say it on Shabbos Yom Kippur? Like this year, Shabbos Yom Kippur fell out on Shabbos. So do you say it by Mincha? So Lepel we don't. Some people Al Pi Kabbalah do, but the accepted minig is you don't say it because it doesn't apply really. Because we're not eating, what the whole Banis philosophy is that we're not like the Goyim who eat and drink and still come to show, but Yom Kippur you're not eating and drinking anyway. So you can't say how great we are that we ate and drank and we come to shul, because you're not eating and drinking, you're in shul anyway all day. So that's why we'd say it. Okay, now what happens, by the way, even if there's no Sefer Torah, you say Vanis Filasi. There's another interesting din in halacha. What happens if you have a minyan and you don't have a Sefer Torah? What do? You have a minyan davening in the house, somebody's davening, and there's no minyan there's no Sefer Torah to have Kriyas Torah. So technically, what it says in halacha, not everybody does this, but technically it says in halacha, somebody should take a chumash and read the Kriya. So if let's say it's in the morning, this week, let's say you read in a form of chumash, no aliyahs, no obviously nothing, but you just read the whole Parshas Noach from a chumash. If it's mincha time, you read the mincha Kriya from a chumash. Not just to forget, even though it's not a Kriyas Torah, it's not a Sefer Torah, it's not aliyahs and everything, but it says in halacha that's what you're supposed to do, to take a chumash and read the Kriya of that, what was supposed to be read at that davening. And not with what? If you read it, you might as well read it with Torah. If somebody doesn't know Torah, then what do? Without Torah. What happens if somebody's leaning and they don't know Torah? What do? Read it without Torah. And you're a Yaitze Kriyas Torah or not? Okay. Torah is very holy. Torah is halacha Mishum Sinai. Torah is very, very holy.
At what point you can add a child as part of the meaning?
One can add a child b'shas chak. Many shows, if there's 9 people, they'll not more than one, but they'll take a kid, not a 2-year-old kid. A kid, older, take 10-year-old or whatever. In Shechonah, it doesn't even say about holding a chumash. The minig is a ilam that they hold a chumash. And the minig ha'olam is you can count him as a minyan. But there's a letter from the Rebbe writes that he never heard it. I mean, the problem that we do it in Chabad. But there's a letter from the Rebbe writes, and he asked about it, and the Rebbe said he never heard. I mean, the Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Onei, there's a din about counting a kid for a minyan. If there's no other minyan, otherwise there's no minyan, so you can count them b'shas chak. But the shas chak means if there's many places, like many minyanim, they barely get a minyan. Okay, so let's say one day there's no minyan, a few days in a row there won't be a minyan. So what's going to happen? People will stop coming, right? If there's no minyan, what are they coming for, right? So then, not only that, there's number one, many of them won't even daven. They won't even put on tefillin. Maybe they'll come to shul, they put on tefillin, they daven. So b'shas chak means that if you don't have a minyan, by counting the kid, the minyan is going to fall apart. That's called shasat chak, that you could do it. If it's a one-time deal, you could do it. But just ideally, it's best not to do it on a regular basis. But halachically, we paskin that if you need to, you could do it. Okay. No. Like this whole separate din that really was in before. You need 6 people to daven the Shemona Esrei, Amida. If not, in order to say to daven with the minyan, to have a tefillah b'tzibur, there's 2 prerequisites. Number 1, there's 6 people davening the Amida. If you don't have 6 people davening the Amida, you cannot do the repetition. Okay? Plus, you need 9 people answering. Amen. If not, it's very possible what's called in Shulchan Aruch a bracha levatola, a bracha in vain. Okay? So when you have a minyan, and you want to do the minyan according to halacha, you have to make sure that there's 6 people davening Shemona Esrei with the minyan. Not sitting and talking with the minyan. Davening actual Shemona Esrei with the minyan, the Amida with the minyan. If not, you can't repeat the Shemona Esrei. So what they do sometimes, what happens is you end up 5 people davening. So the 6th guy goes and says the Shemona Esrei loud, until Kedusha. It's called the Heicha Kedusha. You do a Heicha Kedusha, and then you're not repeating the Shemona Esrei. He's saying Shemona Esrei until Lakel HaKadosh. They can answer Kedusha, and then the rest of the Shemona Esrei is not repeated. But you need 2 things. You need 6 people to daven, and you need 9 people besides the chaven, 9 people answering Amen. Okay? So it's a big problem. A lot of times you finish Shemona Esrei, and people are still davening, and you don't have 9 people that are going to answer. There's a lot of different. I'm not getting into all the halachic ramifications, the coolest that they do when you could, when you can't. But ideally, you can't start repetition of Shemona Esrei until there's 9 people finished, ready to answer.
What if the 6, one of them or 2 of them do it the same?
Oh, so I'm saying, I'm coming. That's what I'm leading up to this point to answer this question. So the 6 people that are davening don't all have to daven in Hebrew, because halachically you could daven in any language except Aramaic, because then the Malachim don't understand Aramaic except Gavriel, the Gemara says, and you need the Malachim to push up the tefillas. So in Aramaic, you don't say if there's no minyan. You can't daven in Aramaic. But like this, I don't know about Farsi, if God knows that, I don't know. But for sure, Yiddish, English, all those languages, God knows. So if you have, let's say, even 4 people davening in Hebrew, and 2 people davening in English, they still davened. You can still repeat the Shemona Esrei. You had a proper minyan. You had, 6 people that davened. For the whole minyan to daven in English, that's not allowed. In Hashkafa, it's mamish not allowed. What?
So you have 6 people davening, and another 5 to answer, 11. After they finish the Shemona Esrei, one of the 6 left. Zara, and you have 5 now, the original 6.
As long as you had 6 people that davened, and 9 people answering Amen, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same people. For instance, what happens if we had a minyan davening and there were only 9 people? There was no minyan, right? You had 9 people, and people are davening Shemona Esrei, but they're davening by themselves because you didn't have a minyan. Then the 10th guy walks in. The 10th guy walks in, let's say, when everybody's davening the Shemona Esrei, it happens in a lot of shuls. The 10th guy walks in. So you could still do Chazar Sashat, because again, you have all the criteria. You had 6 people davening, now you have 9 people answering the Shemona Esrei, the Chazar Sashats, so that's also good.
Isn't it the same guy that stepped in has to do the...
No.